What's so apparent to me is some of the witnesses.
What's up, suckers? Let me make sure the mic is right. That the mic is right. And we are right. Yeah. Got to go out real quick. Yeah, I mean, this is a real quickie. By the way, next week I will be interviewing my buddy Eric Audet. Check out the book, 3 Years in Pakistan. If you've ever seen the Brad Davis movie, Midnight Express. I'm getting a toll-free call. Let's answer this toll-free call. Hello? Hello? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I'm really busy right now, brother. You guys got to call me back. It's AAA trying to pinch me for money. Obviously, they don't know who they're dealing with. No, it was AAA. Good afternoon, Kip Smith, John Smith, Chris Mack. We got 4 people in here. You know, it's not the most amount of people, but what can I say? I'm behind in the stream wars of 2024. And a lot of people keep asking me, Earl, where can we go to see you on the Netflix as a joke festival? You can't. I'm not on it. I'm the only comic in Los Angeles who isn't on it, but that's all right. Hey, let's body slam that like button. Come on, man. We got 6 people in here, and only one of you have hit the like button. Bruins Panthers series is going to be a war. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That third, I don't even know what a Discord channel is, to be completely honest with you. So, no, I don't have one, John Smith. You know, that Panthers game was I love that third period. That sells the sport. Emotion, fighting, stick work, but no one got hurt. You know, you see a guy like Pasternak get involved in a fight. I mean, that's hockey, man. Emotion. I mean, in the 80s, that game would still be going on, brother. So I don't think it's bad for hockey at all. Bastion Booger, you're coming in hot. I mean, that really should be a super chat question. You dropping a Bastion Booger reference. You know, I wasn't really a big fan of Bastion Booger. I'm not a hater. You know, I like the big guys. Yes, I do the best quickies. You know, it's a real tight operation here in the Earlverse. You know, and I know Kevin is on. I don't think Kevin would mind me having 9 listeners in here. So, you know, today I'm busy tonight, so I had to go on right now. And it's not even going to be a long one. It's just a real, you know, a half-hour stream. You know, who knows? Maybe that's the new thing. You know, instead of going longer, you go shorter. So thank you once again to my buddy Steven Baracoli for coming on this week to talk LA Kings hockey. I mean, you know, listen, let's be honest. I'm not really taking a lot of listeners from him. So he probably would mind if I had 800 people in here, but I've got 8. So hopefully he doesn't mind. You know, I believe in this is a time slot. You know, I try and be respectful of other people's like time slots, but sometimes you got to go on because the world of comedy calls me in for business. So, and I'm not at the Comedy Store this week. Hopefully next week we get back to the regular schedule of stand-up, but the festival this week is taking over Los Angeles, and there's nothing that I can do about that, except become a bigger comic so I can get on the festivals. I'm kind of like Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald was fired from SNL, and then a year later he was hosting it. He had the best opening line, uh, saying that a year ago I was told I wasn't funny enough to be on the show anymore. Now I'm hosting it. Hello. Those are, I think, I don't know what they are. I think they're Dita eyewear. Let me check real fast. I can't. Hold on. Yes, they are Dita eyewear. Dita. Um, so yes, we can quickly talk NHL playoffs. We can talk AEW Dynamite. We can talk the Netflix is a Joke Comedy Festival. We can really talk about whatever the fans want. And yes, construction has resumed next door to me. I've got to get into a fat house with no neighbors so I can do my business. So, all is good. All is good. Did you like Black Tuesday episode of The Dark Side of the Ring? It was interesting. I thought Black Tuesday meant when Vince bought WCW, but I didn't really know about that Black Tuesday and Ole Anderson. I've never really heard a lot of nice things about Ole Anderson. I guess he was kind of a dick, but he was, man enough, whatever you want to call it, to stand up to Vince McMahon. So I kind of like that. Dark Side of the Ring. There's many more stories they can tell. I mean, this was the conclusion of season 5, and they still, I think, a episode on Kamala would be good. I mean, he, just from his start to his prime to the end of his life, which was pretty sad. Um, and I'm sure there's other deep dives they can go into. I mean, you can talk about Rick Rude's suicide. All the rumors that are around that. Louis Spicoli, I think, would be a good one. I mean, that's kind of, I don't know how you would fill an hour on him, but he basically was a fan who became a wrestler and then committed suicide. I mean, that's a good story, in terms of the kind of topics that Dark Side of the Ring covers. What other? I mean, there's a lot of sad stories. I'm trying to think of. They didn't really do one on Bad News Brown. He had a pretty interesting life. Um, you know, legit 76, I think, Olympic judo champion. Hold on, I'm getting a communique from a comic. Did you see they dug up RFK claiming he had a brain parasite like a decade? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is why he won't be president of the country without Drunken Donuts. But he, he comes up with like wacky stuff like that. And I just think mainstream people are going to be like, I can't vote for a guy who thinks he had a worm in his brain eating his cerebral cortex. Are you a fan of pizza pockets? I think that's the first non-sexual question you've ever asked, so I'll answer it. Not really. Yes, I loved that game, Sour Milk. I mean, I'm not saying I expect every game to be like that. Of course, we're talking about the Bruins-Panthers game, but how many people are going to tune in to watch Game 3? Was it Saturday? I'll believe. Or maybe it's Friday. I know they kind of stagger the games after the first round. I mean, I'm surprised. I think RFK was on one of Epstein's flight logs. That more hasn't been made of that. But let's be honest. Come on. I know he's my cousin. He ain't gonna be the president. He's literally getting like the bare minimum percentage wise. He may sneak onto one of the debates, but it's going to be tough. But I do hope he gets on the debate stage, um, because I think that he'll stir the pot. He'll needle both Trump and Biden, and I think he'll push Trump and Biden to be like more accountable. Um, I mean, they have. I really hope there's at least two debates. I mean, although Trump, whether you like him or not, he does seem to be more. Um, you know, clear speaking. Like he's crazy, but like he doesn't really fumble his words that much. He had a stretch on the debate trail where he was kind of like a little wonky, but I think the trial and the brevity of his after court press conferences basically have benefited him because I think he's still good speaking in short burst. Whereas that hour-long interview Biden did, he just, he looks like a comic that's hoping for laughter after a joke. Like when I'm doing well on stage, I don't hope for laughter. I expect it, But that hour-long interview, you could tell his eyes were like all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and he would say something going, I hope they believe it, instead of expecting them to believe it. That's where I think Trump is more has the advantage over Biden, because Trump believes anything he says. Now, you might not agree with that, but he absolutely has convinced himself that every time he speaks, he's telling the truth. I mean, Trump is pretty cool when you think about it. Fucks playmates, porn stars, is into golden showers. His wife was a rumored ex-Slovenian prostitute. I mean, this guy goes for it. He ain't Clinton fucking fat interns. He goes for the gold, Vince Neil style. Um, so, of course, Stormy Daniels was finished up her testimony today. I don't think the defense really got her. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if the prosecution really proved their point of he wasn't trying to protect Melania. He was trying to win the election. So I don't know. I think it's 50-50 in terms of whether he gets convicted or not. And, we'll see what happens. I mean, Monica Lewinsky's cute. I like those chubby girls. Well, let's not talk disparagingly about our first lady, ex-first lady, and probably will be our new first lady. I personally think Melania looks like Adrian Vandenberg in Whitesnake myself, but we all have our opinions. I get told I look like Max Headroom and Roderick Strong, so there you go. I do see a little bit of Roderick Strong for sure. So I hope the NHL question: what if all players get a game misconduct? I mean, I think they get, well, like last night. Uh, I mean, you can't give everyone a 10-minute misconduct because you got to have some players to play the game. You can't just have 6 players on both benches. So I think, it's to the referee's discretion. You kind of have to, like last night with 9 minutes left, it was like, okay, I'm going to just start giving out 10-minute misconducts because the game's over. I think at that point it was 5 or 6-1. But if you did that after every whistle with 5 minutes left, you wouldn't have any players. So it's was a very interesting way to see how the refs let certain things go in the final 9 minutes because they basically had to. There literally would not have been enough players to complete the game. And the days of goons are over. So if you look at the Boston lineup, really the only tough guys they have in terms of fighting are Kyle Frederick. I think it's his first name's Kyle Frederick, or am I thinking of the old Tampa Bay Lightning enforcer? Frederick and Pat Maroon, and on the Panthers side, you've got Kachuk. He has 24 NHL fights, so he's not you know he's not afraid to fight. But they don't really have it's not like the old days where the Panthers would have like Paul Loss and Brent Severin, and the Bruins would have like Bruce Shoebottom, Jay Miller, and Lyndon Byers. Those days are over. Because if that was the case, that game would still be going on. Tom Wilson, I'm going to tell you, he's not a goon. He is. No, I was not on Boy Meets World. Early Kyler. Thank you very much. Tom Wilson played the game. A goon, in my definition, would be someone like Wayne Van Dorp. A Jake Caulfield, who literally started skating at 16 or something crazy like that. Tom Wilson's probably Washington's second best player. He can score, he can pass, he can penalty kill, he can power play. Like Wayne Van Dorp was never on a power play, and certainly not on a penalty kill. Earl, would you have sex with an AI robot? I never say never. Never say never. What up, Mason in Portland? Mason in Portland, a frequent stream chat guest. So let me see. Well, I think the South Dakota trip was on the Epstein flight log. I think he said he was deer hunting or something. What's up? Are you ready to rock? We're just chilling in the Earlverse. We're gonna do maybe a half-hour stream because Daddy's got some business to attend to. So I'm really trying to stream, not necessarily every day, but give you guys a little tasty so I can get into the algorithm. Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton. Boy, that is a tough one. By the way, for the record, I don't think Monica Lewinsky is hotter than Melania Trump. Melania Trump's pretty hot. I mean, she is an older mom now, but in her heyday, I mean, she was like Giselle Bundchen. So, but Monica Lewinsky's got the big jugs, the big lips. I mean, Melania's a little too manufactured looking for me. Getting back to your question, Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton? Oh boy, I mean, oh man, that's tough. Oh, I mean, do I have to choose? Can I get a? Oh boy, I mean, if you're putting a gun to my head and say you have to pick one, oh boy, I guess I'd say Nancy Pelosi, but that's pretty tough. It's like asking someone, do you want AIDS or herpes? Tugboat. Would I fuck Tugboat? AJS? I don't know what you're asking me. Oh yeah, I'd definitely take Nancy Pelosi for the win or for the loss. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I'm assuming I'm being asked their current era. I think Nancy Pelosi's in her 80s. I mean, that beaver's got to be pretty tore up at this juncture. Oh, Tugboat. I mean, Fred Ottman. A lot of people don't know he was the Shockmaster. And Ole Anderson, speak of the devil, he was the voice of the Shockmaster. So, yeah, I try not to think what 80-year-old woman I would rather take down. I'm a gentleman. So, yeah, you guys are giving me some tough choices. How about who would I rather sleep with, Claudia Schiffer or Victoria Silverstedt or Petra Verkaik? Would you rather sleep with Sarah Palin? AOC, she's got some big jugs, on the DL, of course. Sarah Palin's not bad looking, I mean, she's pretty hot. As you age, do older women get more attractive? I mean, I don't really have a type, necessarily, so I don't really go for, okay, I need blonde hair and big tits. Like if you lined up my last 4 serious girlfriends, they all look different. One looked like Julia Roberts, one looked like Pink, One looked like Miley Cyrus. One looked like a little bit like Amy Schumer. So it's all kind of. I'm a vibe guy. I'm a vibe man. Did one look like Louis C.K.? Come on, man. I'm not into girls who look like dudes, but I did have a recent ex. After we broke up, she shaved her head and like she looks like a dude now. She looks like fucking not DiCaprio, but D'Onofrio on Full Metal Jacket. I think I fucked the straight out of her. Hello. So there you have it. Let's see what's going on in Twitter. Let's see what's trending. Die Hard is trending. Uh-oh, what's going on? That means how is Bruce Willis? Oh, it's something to do with Michael Jordan. I thought it was okay. Never mind. Yeah, I know. I mean, you're definitely right, Dr. Nova. I mean, there's definitely probably a story that's being covered up. Um, and just like I don't know who put the story out that he cheated on his ex-wife with like 25 women. Like that's not a good look. But in American politics, that'll probably help him get elected. I mean, listen, we all knew Trump was an animal with women in 2016, and it didn't really seem to bother anyone. Um, you know, but you would think that Trump's dad not renting to black people would have stopped him. I mean, Trump is Teflon, man. Dr. Chow, the Mega G, did I miss your entrance into the stream? I did. I apologize. When all the questions look alike, I tend to miss them. Oh, okay. I mean, if he was, he's just too wacky, man. The conspiracy theories and the vaccine stuff. Just he probably could if he played the game a little bit more. Because you got to figure if he gets into the debate stage, I think he's going to pull votes from both guys because there's a lot of Republicans who can't stand Trump and won't vote for him, but they're certainly not going to vote for Biden. So he's going to take those votes. Hey, well, let's just vote for RFK. It's almost like a protest vote. It's the same thing with the Democrats. There's a lot of Democrats who don't like Biden, and they're certainly not going to vote for Trump, and they're not going to vote for Biden. So up pops RFK Jr., and he's going to take votes away from Biden. So it's going to be Trump's father did not rent to black people in the 70s at his um, apartment buildings. It's a well-known fact. Now, Drunken Donuts, let's not argue with others in the stream. We like to have a nice stream. Well, I mean, I think if he got on the debate stage, he's definitely well, that's his father. And in American politics, your family is basically you. So, like, people are going to lump Ted Kennedy's shenanigans at Chappaquiddick with RFK Jr. and his JFK and his dad, his father's shenanigans with Marilyn Monroe. He's going to get him. It's just like, my cousin had a legal situation and I get lumped into it. And, I was fucking 8 years old when it happened. But, it's just, I get asked about it all the time. Um, Especially when I'm on the road, like back east doing shows. They ask me about it, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I was 8 years old, bro." Um, oh, you're talking about Feng Chao. Yes, Feng Chao, one of the great avant-garde Andy Kaufman-esque comics at the Comedy Store, but I believe he is now in Austin, Texas, where he's followed the flock to the mothership. And thank you, Drunken Donuts. I know we got off to a rough start, but I think we now know the pace of each other's personalities, and I'm just trying to get the YouTube channel popular. Yeah, he is very funny. He's a bit of a wild card, but he's a good man. He's one of the few people that if I quit Los Angeles comedy, or if I quit comedy in general, I would still talk to him and go, "What's up?" Um, I think his only stumbling block is he's got to learn to play the game a little bit, much like I do. Yeah, I mean, RFK Jr. definitely has some skeletons. There's no doubt about that. But so does Trump, and then Biden's got his son. Uh, and so all three candidates have uh, skeletons dangling in the closet. So, but I think between the three of them, I believe that RFK Jr. would be the best debater. He's probably the more smarter of the three. Um, and he's funnier too. Like he had a great line. I had a friend of mine send me some clips of the RFK Jr. comedy show, and it was awful. And Mike Binder had not done well that night, and I think he had organized the show. So my cousin gets up to do a goodbye end of show speech, and he just looks at Mike Binder and goes, "Mike, you and I have one thing in common. Neither one of us are funny." Like that's good, quick wit, on the spot, improv line. So I think he would kill it on the debates. But I think these trials in a weird way are helping Trump. And others have made the point, but he's not on the campaign trail, flubbing and talking shit and kind of stammering all over the place for 2 hours. Those little after court pressers are like concise, and he's focused, and you can tell he's a little angry, so he's fired up. Um, but now it's I think this trial is kind of coming to an end. So it'll be interesting to see when this trial ends, if the next one starts before the election. It's gonna be a wild time in America. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the court, and, because no one's taking this case very seriously. You've got these, National Enquirer, David Pecker, and you've got a porn star, and like it's almost like a wild episode of Jerry Springer. So I don't think if this is the case you want the American public to turn on Trump, I don't think this is the one. Now, the January 6th case, that could hurt him, but that might not take place until after the election. And if Trump wins the election, goodbye court cases. He'll pardon himself. Well, I mean, I think at some point the Democrats and whoever is in charge of the party like saying to Biden, "Hey, bro, I know you're 81, but you got to get out there. Like, Trump is on TV every fucking day, and whether you like Trump or not, he's a good salesman. Like he can, he's like Gene Simmons, man. I mean, when I met Gene Simmons the first time, he was literally fingering a girl, stops to talk to me, and then tries to sell me a Kiss credit card with the same hand he was fingering the girl. And I'm like, Gene, you got to be crazy. Um, so, and you can always tell when one of the two parties is in trouble based on the programming of the network. Like Fox is not really covering the trial that much. They're not even scared of it, because if they were, they'd be covering it more. And I think CNN and MSNBC are like doing round the clock coverage because they know Biden's in trouble. What year did that Gene Simmons story happen? Where was it? I mean, I was dating my girlfriend at the time was in the Motorhead camp, so I would guess that was around 2003 in Malibu. That's a true story, though. Like, it was literally, I was at a party in Malibu with my girlfriend at the time, and she's walking around talking to people. I'm kind of, I knew a few people there, but not a tremendous amount. So then I meet Gene Simmons, and I'm talking to him, and the whole time I'll have to stand up. So I'm sorry if the sound's a little wonky. So like I'm over there. Let's say I'm over there, like right there, and I'm Gene Simmons. The whole time he's talking to me, I see his hand going like that. And I really thought, oh shit, he has Parkinson's or something. Early onside signs or stages of Parkinson's. And then I kind of noticed the girl behind him, and then we're talking about something, and I'm like, hey, how? I think I said to him like, Vinnie Vincent must have been a real maniac, and he's like, why would you say that? Kind of mocking me, and I'm like, well, he was kicked out of the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. I mean, it was his band, and he kind of laughed. And then I looked down and I'm like, oh, he's fingering that girl behind him. And then he whipped out a Kiss credit card. It's like, you should have one of these. No, I'm not being funny. Are you ready to rock about the Parkinson's? I really, that's the first sign of Parkinson's is the hand tremors. What is the largest cup size you've ever dated? 34H. 34H. Thank you very much. So there you go. I mean, that's a wild card question, but that's why we love Drunken Donuts in the stream. Like he keeps it real. But I mean, Gene Simmons, he's all business, all business. My biggest fuck up ever was one night I got punked. I was told I was going to headline an open mic, and it was at the Clive Davis Theater, which is at LA Live, which is by crypto.com. So I go in there and they wouldn't let me in the room. They're like, the room's sold out. You have to stay out here until your name is called. And I could tell the room was sold out. Like there's a lot of energy emanating from that door I was at. And then I heard my name. Now your headliner for the night, Earl Skakel. And so as I get let in the door, the whole hallway was covered by a curtain. So I saw nothing. I just heard this and felt this tremendous energy in the room. And I run up and I get to the foot of the stage. I look up and there's Gene Simmons in an empty chair next to him. And my friend Skylar Stone, who used to work on Punked, had punked me, and he even got my ex-girlfriend Whitney involved because Whitney is the one who said, hey, I can't make this gig. They want you to headline. She's a really good actress. So I interviewed Gene Simmons for 10 minutes, and he was really nice. And so afterwards, and it's packed. I mean, I've never done drugs before, but I feel like I know what doing cocaine is after that night. I was so high and jacked. So he asked me to dinner with his family, and I literally was like, this was at the height of Roast Battle, like when it was just about to blow up, and I'm like, I got to go to the Comedy Store and do this show called Roast Battle. Let's rain check. And then I never saw him again. Well, thank you, Dr. Nova. Yeah, sorry about the noise. There's nothing I can do about that, guys. It's also another reason why I don't necessarily stream at this hour of the day. There's a lot of noise, a lot of construction going on in my neighborhood. My street is rife with new condos. So yeah, but I mean, I know it's something that everyone's stream is going to be compared to the others, and I know sometimes the sound on my stream is a little wonky. John Jones is trending. Did he do something stupid? Okay, really nothing going on there. I think him and Stipe Miocic trying to line up a fight, but I don't know. I mean, Miocic hasn't fought in a while, so well, I mean, I don't, 3 years ago, I'd be down for that fight. By the way, some hockey talk. Sheldon Keefe was fired as the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Most people seem to think, at least on Twitter, that the next head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs will be the Chief, Craig Berube. But the Maple Leafs problem is they've got the forwards, but they don't have the defense and the goaltending. So that's the problem. Like you see Edmonton running into is like they had 4 out of the 6 number 1 draft picks, and they picked McDavid, obviously a great choice. Draisaitl, great choice. Nugent Hopkins, great choice. But they didn't really spend the draft capital on goaltending and defense, which I think is really what helped propel the Kings into not necessarily a dynasty, but like a very good run. Is in very short order they drafted Quick, Doughty, Kopitar, and Dustin Brown. I mean, it really was a great run of picking a top flight goalie, a top flight defenseman, a top flight two-way center, and I guess what you'd say maybe a lesser version of Cam Neely. I mean, it was the perfect way in terms of how you build a draft. So he did not do any. No, there was just some. I guess people are bringing up when are John Jones and Stipe Miocic going to fight again? And I don't know if I want to see that fight. I mean, I'll probably pay for it if it happens, but both guys are getting a little long in the tooth. They haven't fought either one of them in years, so there's going to be ring rust. So I'm not sure if I want to see that fight. Yeah, I mean, I just think Toronto is, they're a case study of how not to build a winning team. I mean, they win in the regular season, but then in the playoffs, you need the goaltending. You need that big banging defenseman. Um, you just can't throw out Matthews, Tavares, Marner, and go, fuck it. I just hope we outscore the other team. That's what Edmonton's doing. I mean, look at last night in Vancouver, uh, I almost said McDrydle. McDavid and Draisaitl are killing it, but in Hyman, Hyman's a machine. But Vancouver stayed right there with them, and their goaltending from Vancouver was a little wonky. A couple saves that maybe that kid should have had, but well, if they offered you $200,000 to fight Stuttering John for 6 rounds, would you do it? I mean, boy, I mean, probably. I mean, but I would need more money. Like, I'm not gonna risk getting hurt for 200 grand. You know, I think Verdum's the most well-rounded heavyweight ever. I mean, he was a good striker, the best at jiu-jitsu, good takedown defense. I mean, that's a hard one to say. And I do. Whenever I say who's the best of all time in any sport, I go put them in their prime, which is why I always say Dave Parker should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, because his prime, he was the best player in the game by far. It wasn't even close. He could hit, had the best arm in the game, Gold Glove, home run leader, RBIs, stolen bases, and he had 2 bad knees. I mean, that's like Bobby Orr. Like, you wonder if what Dave Parker could have done with 2 good knees. His knees were fucked up since high school football. And the surgeries he got in the early 70s were not anywhere near what they are now. Same thing with Bobby Orr. Hello, Dr. Nova. I believe so. I'm sorry, Chris Mack. Shogun Hua was just put into the Hall of Fame. The Baseball Hall of Fame over Dave Parker? That's fucked up. Yeah, I mean, Shogun definitely should have been in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Fedor in his prime, absolutely. But his fight card was kind of weak, to be honest with you. Like, Fedor is my favorite heavyweight of all time, but it's like how much. He was fighting a lot of guys like Hong Man Choi, and it's rumored that, who was the guy with all the tattoos? Jeff Munson. Like, remember that fight in Russia where Munson walked to the ring and he was already limping? I mean, clearly that was a paid off fight. Who's the greatest pound for pound ever? I mean, you got to go Demetrius Johnson. I mean, St. Pierre in his prime, John Jones in his prime. No one can beat John Jones. I mean, like, I'll say John Jones is the greatest fighter of all time. I mean, yeah, he's a complete dick and whatnot, but I think in John Jones' prime, here's the crazy thing is he would beat you at what you were best at. So he would outstrike Vitor Belfort. He would out wrestle Daniel Cormier, a collegiate champion. Like he could do it. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously cases for Anderson Silva. Uh, if you go back to early UFC, Royce Gracie, um, Belfort when he first came on. Like, if you're going to go prime, okay, who would win a fight in their prime? Belfort's in the discussion. I mean, who was that strong and that fast? Remember that one fight with Tank Abbott where he just went across the ring and it was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots on speed. Um, so yeah, but that was he really didn't though in terms of Matt Hamill. He was Jones was killing Hamill, and Jones was disqualified for an illegal. I think it was a north-south elbow. At that time you couldn't directly do a north-south. You had to kind of do it from the side like that, and Jones was going like that. Hamill was getting killed in that fight. I mean, that is the definition of a fight that really he didn't lose. I mean, technically he lost it, but if that he was killing Hamill. Um, so yeah, Belfort was definitely. Henderson was on TRT. I mean, look at Dan Henderson's in the discussion. I used to go to. I've been to UFC in Vancouver, and I think I've been to one in Orange County. But I don't, I'm not really following the UFC as much. When it changed over from, it used to be so much easier for me to watch on DirecTV when there was a big pay-per-view. I'd have friends over, just hit order on channel 123 and bingo, you're in. Do I think Dana White's ever partaken in an orgy? I don't know, to be honest with you. Let's just say I think Dana White knows how to have a good time. So there's that. This Vitor on the gas was impressive. Wanderlei Silva on the gas. All those Pride guys were juicing. Overeem when he was on the roids. Overeem on roids was weird because he basically had the chin of a 185er, but the body of a 285er. Bigfoot Silva. No, I'm just kidding. I loved watching Bigfoot Silva fight. I mean, there's, if you go to Bob Sapp, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Liddell was in his prime. Couture in his prime. I mean, there's a lot of great fighters, who you say in their prime. Could they beat this person in their prime? I mean, it would be interesting to see if Vitor Belfort gassed up in his prime against John Jones, because when he got Jones in that armbar, even though he was on the gas at the time, he was a little older. To see a 22-year-old Vitor Belfort put that armbar on Jones, I don't think Jones gets out of it. Roy Nelson, tough dude. Joe Son, come on, dude. He wasn't one of the greatest of all time. I mean, Brock with his athleticism. Frank Mir doesn't get into the motorcycle crash. What would happen? I mean, a very cerebral fighter, and he got lucky in that Lesnar fight because Lesnar was killing him, but I think he did an illegal strike, and so they reset it, and then he got the ankle lock on him, and Joe Son is didn't he kill someone or something? I mean, Cain Velasquez in his prime, was a pretty tough guy to beat. Dos Santos in his prime, Nogueira in his prime. So many great fighters who if you had an AI machine where you could put all these guys in their prime for one night, man, that would be fun. Emmanuel Yarborough, the 700-pound sumo guy. Didn't Keith Hackney beat him? So that's I just oh, okay. Oh, really? Are you being serious, Michael? It's been a minute since I've researched Joe Son. Well, I mean, I would imagine in prison, if you have a roommate and the guy's farting, that's going to cause a problem. I mean, two double murderers locked up in a cell together. I could understand where that could be an issue with someone. So hit the like button, guys, if you have not done so already. Let me do the plugs before I graciously say goodbye. I don't know what random task is, to be honest with you. So thank you for hitting the like button, whoever did that. At Earl Skakel. Follow me everywhere at Earl Skakel. Of course, I'm on Patreon. And then PayPal, just in case you want to randomly send Earl Skakel money. .com, and of course, discount code for Hackamania is Earl. Jail is pretty insane how they mix murders and petty crimes together. To me, the funniest, we'll leave on this because we'll go for another 5 minutes, kids. And then I got to conduct some business. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I mean, listen, I remember when Kill Tony had 25 people in the belly room, comics and audience. So, a lot of people are jealous or bitter about Kill Tony and Tony's success, but it's actually motivated me because I was in the room when it first started, much like Roast Battle. I was in the room the night Roast Battle was formulated, and it was literally under 8 people in the room and 2 comics wanting to fight. And Brian Moses was taking over a shitty open mic run by this girl. It wasn't shitty because of her, but it was just there was no audience. And bingo, it's now on the Netflix as a joke festival. It's 5 seasons, 3 on American TV, 2 in the UK, hosted by Jimmy Carr, the guy I beat. Anyway, that's welcome to the world. So I agree with you, Drunken Donuts. I'm not streaming at the moment to make money. I'd be pretty stupid. If you are streaming to make money, you'll quit pretty soon. It's like if you do comedy in LA for money, you'll quit after 3 months. So I'm hoping, obviously I want Brody told Tony he was good writer but wasn't a performer. Well, Brody was probably wrong because Kill Tony is playing the Forum 2 nights this weekend. So, but you never know. When you see comics in the beginning of a project, you never know what that project could turn into. I mean, like I can't tell you. I was on the Roast Battle Weekly show for 5 years, but the first year it was just a fun show where no one thought the show was going to get on TV. I certainly didn't. And even Jeff came up a few times, and you could tell he was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I know for a fact that he told people that who's going to want to watch Earl and a bunch of his friends insult each other? They're not going to get the jokes. But Roast Battle is such a good concept that you don't have to know the people to get the jokes. I think what ruined it was, bringing in celebrities because it was just like they were going through the motions and just, fucking around. I mean, listen, whether you like Tony or not, he's very successful, and I think someone who doesn't get the credit, right now the 2 #1 podcasts in the world are the Joe Rogan Experience and Kill Tony, and Brian Redban is responsible in large part for both. And you never really hear his name like, hey, man, Redban's the man. It's like Redban is the one who, with the technical knowledge, got those shows to where they have to be. I mean, listen, the Earlverse stream is not exactly technologically innovative. I literally hit record or go live, and then in about a minute I will hit in stream. Um, I don't have any graphics. I don't know how to stream snipe, but maybe one day when it gets big and I can pay someone to do all that, the presentation will be better. But well, I mean, a lot of people are wrong about a lot of performers, and that's even big wigs in Hollywood. I mean, I listen. Matt Rife couldn't get booked 3 years ago. The only show he was on in LA was his own show at the Laugh Factory with his buddy Paul. Now he's one of the headliners of Netflix is a Joke Festival. So, he was far from an overnight success. And, now the industry's praising him, but 3 years ago they wouldn't book him. So, yeah, I mean, that's another show that Red Band really I did one of the I don't know if it was one of the first, but it was a very early Your Mom's House at Red Band's home in Burbank. I think the studio was the second bedroom. Um, so he is really a unheralded, I guess you would say, force in the podcast and streaming world. I mean, even when he's fucking around at night with virtual Red Band, he's got a couple hundred people and just watching him play video games. Would I have anal with Roseanne Barr? I mean, it's not like, to be honest with you, it's not like high up on my list, but I never say never. Hello, boing. I'm not a big anal guy because my dick is too big, to be frank. So, um, there you go. Well, I mean, I remember that live stream where they got into it, but I don't. Would you watch Tom Arnold? I wouldn't watch Tom Arnold do stand up, let alone have sex with Roseanne Barr or any other woman. I mean, I always thought with the Laugh Factory when they have Tom Arnold headline Thanksgiving when the homeless are eating. And I will give the Laugh Factory this. They do feed the homeless on Thanksgiving. So you'll see a lot of your favorite comics there. Hello! And then they'll have Tom Arnold do an hour to the homeless when they're trying to eat. Like, if you're homeless and you smell of shit and you haven't worked in years and you probably haven't had sex in a decade, do you really want to watch Tom Arnold do stand-up? Speaking as a gay man, there are almost no dicks too big for anal. Well, I don't know. I mean, my buddy, I'm friends with Jack Napier, who has the biggest dick in porn. I think it's like 13 inches. Dr. Nova, you can't tell me that wouldn't hurt. I mean, I'm 13 inches if I fuck you twice. Hello, boing. We welcome gay men in here. We're a very inclusive stream. Thank you very much. I mean, I don't watch Kill Tony, to be honest with you. Like, it's just not interesting. I mean, it's, I don't like watching stand up. Like, I don't like watching panel shows. Well, yeah, I mean, that's an extreme example, but, um, so, I mean, and I've only had anal once. So, and it didn't hurt that bad. Hello. So yeah, I don't watch Kill Tony or I don't even watch Rogan. I want to be on these shows, so I don't want to watch something I want to be on. It makes me not angry, but I get bummed out. I'm like, well, that should be me. But that I'm honest about that. Most people wouldn't. I'll watch the show. I want to support my friends. I've supported my friends enough in 25 years of comedy. I want my shit. We're going to do an hour stream, so we got 6 more minutes, kiddies. And once again, I will be having my friend Eric Audet, 3 years in Pakistan, where he was an American in a Pakistani prison, and he ran the prison. Very similar story to when Brad Davis did that movie, Midnight Express, when he was in a Turkish prison, I think for smuggling heroin. It's a true story. I don't know the real name, but it's a very similar real life story of basically being an American running the shop in a Pakistani prison. So check out the movie Midnight Express with Brad Davis. It's old school. Guys and girls don't have the same. All right, well, all right. Are you ready to rock? I mean, let's not end the stream with knowledge like that. I mean, um, I must, I mean, but to show you the one time I was having it, I didn't even know I was back there. I mean, it was so wet and sweaty, and between the two of us, she at one point says to me, and it's funny, it was right over there on my couch. Oh, my podcast guest knew what they were sitting on. And she's like, Earl, you've got to slow down. And I'm like, why? She's moaning like she's never moaned before. She's like, you're not in my pussy. I'm like, hello. No super chat there. I just wanted to hear that noise. Team Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. I love anything with Jim Cornette. I think Jim Cornette was manager of New Jack and Mustafa when they went into a Mid-South, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Chris Mag, let's talk about hockey or something. I can't talk about the difference between men and women's booty holes. I mean, we were hot. I mean, this girl was hot. So, I mean, she came, like the Rat song said, trust me, she came back for more. Hello. So, and by the way, someone tweeted the other night to Joe Rogan, at Joe Rogan, please have the greatest comic of all time, Earl Skakel on. That's not going to help me get on. I am not the greatest comic of all time. And that sounds like something I told someone to tweet at Joe, which I did. Hello. Pew. So, if you're going to tweet at certain shows, I have no control over that, but play it cool, act like you've been here before, and, say, hey, we'd like to see Earl Skakel on at midnight or whatever. There are plenty of ways to help a streamer, a comic that are not financial. You can hit the like button. You can hit the notification button. You could hit the subscription button. Hell, just commenting on a video. And then, I always try and answer the comments because that gets you in the algorithm. Um, put the stream in Discord. Now, I'm not in any Discord, so I honestly don't know how to do that. But, you've got to, um, be forward thinking in this streaming business. There are hundreds and thousands of streamers right now. You think me and Kevin are the only ones streaming right now? Fuck no. So there are ways to help that don't involve financial methods. So I'm going to watch hockey all weekend. So the weekend streams, let's get some hockey talk going. We didn't even talk AEW Dynamite, and I thought we would. My bad. Well, I mean, I think I know where the vagina is, Dr. Nova. And, I think what happened was we were cuddling on the couch and I was behind, and it just, it just happened. I mean, I know what I'm doing. So, there you go. But no more sex talk. We've got a minute and a half before I hit end stream. I'm positioning the arrow over end stream. So when it hits 1 hour on the nose, no more Earl. So you got 1 minute to get your questions in and get on bigger podcasts is how it grows. 100% Dave Lee, but I just don't show up to Joe Rogan's compound in Austin and go, yes, I'd like to be on your podcast, Joe. That will tweet at Santino or whatever, Big podcasts will only have you on if they think people want to listen to it. Favorite Miami Vice guest star? I'll go with Randall Tex Cobb, season 3. It's a 2-part episode where Larry Zito, it's called Down for the Count, where Detective Stan Switek mourns the loss of his partner, Larry Zito. And Tex Cobb was the trainer in there. There's some Gene Simmons, and Prodigal Son was great. Penn Teller, same episode. Prodigal Son was great. Martin Ferrero, who was a recurring character in Miami Vice. Also was two characters. He was the trans assassin in I think the first or second episode ever, and then they brought him back as Izzy, the CI. And Tex Cobb. There was a documentary I just watched on Tex Cobb on YouTube. It was really fascinating. Kind of just he could have been a better. Um, had a better boxing career. He was scheduled to fight Muhammad Ali, and then in a bar fight, he was defending his friend who was a reporter, and he broke his arm, so they rescheduled the fight that never happened. And quite the accomplished kickboxer, Tex Cobb. So there's that. I have been on Kim Congdon's podcast. I did Kim and Sarah's podcast many years ago where we played a video game. I think it was on Twitch. It might still be out there. I love Sarah, so I would absolutely do her podcast. We're friends. I mean, I'm friends with everyone pretty much. I mean, I don't really have any enemies other than, you guys know who. And even now, it's just like I'm over it. I'm done talking about it. Said my piece. I believe I haven't done, is that Sarah's podcast, the bitch podcast? Well, that's another thing where if you guys want to see me on that, tweet at Sarah, I mean, because you really don't, as a guest, you don't want to ask to be on a podcast. Yeah, if you go on YouTube and put, I guess, Tex Cobb documentary, I'm sure what I watched will be on it. It was really good. It's only about 25 minutes. And it goes into his boxing career and his kickboxing career and obviously his acting. And if you really want to know, forget the Comedy Central roast, forget the Netflix roast of Tom Brady. You want to see a good roast, please look up Tex Cobb roast of Larry Holmes. It's the best roast set I've ever seen. And Tex Cobb drops I don't want to ruin it, but I'll say this. Tex Cobb drops an N-bomb in a room full of black people, and every single person laughed. And you know why they did? That's a horrible word, but the context of the joke was so fucking funny that you could say that word in a room full of black people and get a laugh. So that is it, guys. I thought we were only going to do a half hour, but I got to be honest with you kids. I actually have fun doing these streams. Do I wish there were more people? I absolutely do. But, right now they're not. Like I said, I remember when Kill Tony, the first Kill Tony I did, there was literally 25 people in the room. Comics, audience, and panel. So I am given hope that one day we'll get this stream going. Earl Skakel, over and out.